And why the group is focusing on it is because through products you get to enterprise customers of those products. So this is actually another reason of why our acquisition is working well, that it's a two-way flow. It's not like things are coming only from SKS. We are also bringing these things like PLM and product testing and so on. So that's the one thing I'm focusing on right now. Something new will definitely come up. Maybe certification testing is something that is on the horizon for me, and I'll probably look at that and so on. So there are enough things to focus on. In terms of verticals, if you're saying what new vertical, actually as a group, we are restricting the verticals. So we are, last year we said that instead of working in each and every vertical, we are going to focus on 6 verticals. So we are focusing on banking, insurance, retail, logistics, energy utilities, telecom and manufacturing. So these are 6 verticals. Of course, individual countries like India are allowed to have their gaming vertical. Yes. So right now we are actually consolidating on these verticals, because as I said to the earlier question, we see a lot of value in building strengths in individual verticals in terms of not just people knowing that vertical, but also reusable assets creating in these verticals, including on the products that are used in those verticals. So if we create that, there's a lot of value for the end customer. So that's where we are going, more consolidation rather than trying to just do new things for the sake of doing new things. Security is more of a horizontal, so that you come in the second question. Within our group, we have a security practice. It's not in India. It's in it's in the US and in Ireland and so on. So as a group, we do provide security testing, but not in India. Yeah. It's lots of opportunities. Yeah. You okay?
Are you focusing on cloud or mobile-based testing?
Mobile, very much so, because and as you would imagine, the first mobile testing we started doing was on games. Games are always cutting edge, and we have a huge mobile testing practice right here in India. A big library of devices, and we have done some automation on mobile as well. So everything is going mobile there these days. Everybody has some kind of a mobile play. So mobile is huge, no doubt about that. On the cloud side is an interesting and a different question. So there are 2 aspects to that. Using cloud for testing, which means that if you want to do load testing, then instead of using some tool to simulate users, you use cloud to simulate, not simulate, actually have those many users. That's very much on. So for things like load performance testing or compatibility testing is where you are testing on various platforms. Cloud is a natural. So when you want to create a lot of users to hit your server, then cloud is a natural. And compatibility, cloud is a natural. The other aspect of cloud testing is whether an application is cloud enabled or not, to test that. So there is an opportunity to do that, but I think the first part is getting much more traction about using cloud for testing. We are doing that. Yes.
Sir, I have a non-technical question. Just like you mentioned about soundboard that you used to meet your elders and all. So on this path of entrepreneurship, we come across different doubts and questions whether to take this decision or not. So how you overcome all these doubts, and how you use this soundboard in that regards?
So like I said, you ask for a meeting with these guys and they give you those meetings. So you specifically plan some time, go with your points, talk to them, and you get your answers. Hopefully, yes. Is that your question? Or that
Actually, I just want to know how to, because on this entrepreneurship path, lot of questions comes.
Yes,
to take a decision not.
Yes.
One decision can turn your life.
Well, actually, I don't believe that. One decision can turn your life. There is always a series of. You can always make corrections, and so no one decision is that important or anything. But yes, if that is important enough, you should definitely talk to people. It's not a problem. People do help you.
I would like to know your, like, as an entrepreneur, how do you maintain your schedule, discipline, some productivity tips to entrepreneurs from your starting days? What personal resistance you have been through, and how you have overcome that resistance? There might be some personality traits which you have changed over the years. You can share something.
Yeah, I think I must say I have become a lot more disciplined and just to manage the schedules and so on over the years. I can definitely say that. So because so many people are dependent on you, doing things on time and so on. But there are so many tools available these days, right? I mean, you got to use your Outlook task and so on and so forth, because otherwise there's no way you can remember to do everything, especially at my age. You got to keep forgetting things. So you got to use these tools. And I use those, which I'm sure almost all of us here do. So you're right, but the need for discipline is definitely there. So we got to take care of your fitness also these days. You cannot not look at those. And so to put that all in the schedule, I've somehow managed to do that very religiously. The fitness part, I like to read books. I definitely have that in my schedule as well. So for example, I read books in the bus commute. I take the bus to the office, and the bus is a good time to read books, for example. So you got to plan that. I think most people do that. So I didn't think it was something quite out of the ordinary. But if you have any specific question of how you do this or that, maybe I can answer a better answer.
Just that any kind of example for a resistance which you had earlier and you changed it some way. Some kind of thoughts which you have changed over years, or even in the earlier time when you were like a struggler or something like that. Major change which you have done, or it was more of an easy path just to help someone.
Okay, I'll keep that question in mind. If I come up with something, then I'll answer that. Yes, please.
You mentioned about having things move to the operations and moving on to the next thing. What kind of attributes do you look into a team leader who can actually take care of the operations, probably at times better than you yourself were doing? And the second question is more of, what would be an ideal time when, this delegation, if I may call so, should happen? Maybe the number of employees or the turnover size, or what is that?
First of all, the delegation should be planned. I mean, it is not like you wait for that time to happen and then you delegate. You got to have it planned from the beginning that this is the way it is going to go. You could even fix time. Maybe that time could change if things don't happen as per your plan, but it has to be planned. Otherwise, it will never happen. So that's number one. And number two, about there are so many skills that my colleagues are much better than I am. That's not a question problem at all. So for example, project management and those kind of things. There are so many good people in your team that they will do that job much better than you do. So I don't have that problem at all. That there will be people, but you got to get it to that operational state. Then there are lots of people who can do that much better than you do. I don't have that problem at all.
And so you mean that whenever you are starting off with any new disruptive idea, you have a plan in place where it can be delegated?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I am not from the IT background, so I have a hypothesis which I want to discuss with you. That the incentive system for most IT companies is geared towards man hours, which is a disincentive for efficiency.
Completely agree.
Right? Now, I keep on telling my friends in the IT industry that one of the things that this industry doesn't do well is recycling of code, because there is no incentive. Matlab, you lose money if you recycle code, or at least don't tell the customer you're recycling code. Right? I just want to draw upon that and look at testing, because I'm sure that if the same thing works for the IT, it could also work for testing. So do you look at a probable reduction in headcount and moving over to some other models, or will you wait for a startup to displace you and find out that suddenly SQS is nowhere? Or I'm just kind of looking at those kind of ideas.
The factory model that I talked about was exactly this.
Yeah,
we did exactly this to displace the existing vendors at our customer. The exact what you said, that is exactly what we did. We offer output-based pricing. What does that mean? That we have taken the dependence on headcount away,
Absolutely.
which means we benefit of the previous also. What has happened is increase in efficiency. What has happened is creation of reusable assets that we now use because we are getting paid on the delivery now.
No, but that's only in one part of your business. You've not translated it to other parts as well.
So wherever now we are doing, say, automation or something, either we are doing it output based. There is a lot of time and material business yet.
Yeah.
The fact is that even customers are sometimes not comfortable changing the model.
Okay.
It's a pain these sometimes to even change the contract, to change it from T&M to some other model. The purchase department. So there are other problems as well. But wherever it is possible for us, we are definitely keen to do output based or fixed price. And the reason is exactly what you mentioned. We want to benefit out of our assets. And suppose we do it on a time and material basis. The benefit of our assets goes to our customer, not to us.
Right.
So we are keen on exactly doing what you're saying. That is the way to go. I mean, things will probably change, but slowly. But